Rajon Rondo's story is a perfect example of how quickly a simple encounter can turn into a nightmare. On January 28, 2024, in Indiana, police pulled him over for something as minor as not having a rear license plate. At first, it looked routine, but once the officer recognized who he was dealing with, a two-time NBA champion and four-time All-Star, the entire tone of the stop changed. What followed was nothing short of shocking. A search of Rondo's Tesla uncovered marijuana, and far more alarming, a loaded 9mm firearm sitting in the vehicle while his young son was still inside. For fans who admired Rondo's reputation as one of the league's smartest point guards, this was a jarring reality check. And this wasn't his first brush with firearms. Back in 2022, a protective order was filed against him after allegations he threatened his ex-girlfriend with a gun. That history casts a dark shadow over the 2024 arrest, showing a troubling pattern. Ultimately, Rondo pled guilty to a misdemeanor gun charge, avoiding jail but receiving probation and a suspended sentence. The footage didn't just capture an arrest, it captured the fall of a respected veteran, reminding us how even legends can see their legacies shaken in a single night. Cameron Payne's arrest is one of those stories that makes you shake your head because it never had to happen. On June 14, 2024, Scottsdale police responded to what should have been a straightforward call, a verbal argument between Payne and his girlfriend. No violence, no property damage, just officers checking in to make sure everyone was safe. But when they asked for his ID, Payne made a decision so baffling it instantly went viral. Instead of simply giving his real name, he offered up a fake one, even as officers calmly explained that Arizona law requires identification during an investigation. They gave him chance after chance to come clean, but Payne dug himself deeper until the handcuffs came out. Only then did he finally admit he was Cameron Payne. The officers themselves called it the dumbest way to get arrested, and they weren't wrong. His girlfriend later explained he often used aliases at hotels and clubs to avoid attention as an NBA player, but trying that with law enforcement turned a minor dispute into an embarrassing criminal charge. For a guard once praised for his basketball IQ on the Suns' finals run, this moment revealed a stunning lack of judgment off the court. Jackson Hayes' arrest footage is one of the most chaotic and controversial moments we've ever seen involving an NBA player. On July 28, 2021, Los Angeles police responded to a domestic disturbance call at Hayes' Woodland Hills home. At first, things looked calm. Hayes explained the situation, appeared cooperative, and seemed ready to move on. But when officers insisted on speaking with his girlfriend inside, tension spiked instantly. What happened next was captured on video that stunned the basketball world. Hayes became protective of his cousin during a heated exchange, and suddenly a routine call exploded into a violent confrontation. Officers wrestled with the 7-foot sender, voices clashing as Hayes pleaded for them to stop grabbing his family member. Then came the taser, multiple warnings followed by the crack of electricity that left Hayes in visible agony on the ground. The footage only grew more disturbing as an LAPD sergeant was later found to have violated policy by kneeling on Hayes' neck, drawing comparisons to high-profile cases of excessive force nationwide. Hayes ultimately pled no contest to false imprisonment and resisting arrest, but the fallout didn't stop there. When new surveillance footage surfaced in November 2024, the NBA reopened its investigation, showing how this arrest still casts a shadow over his career years later. Few stories in NBA history are as heartbreaking as the arrest footage of Delonte West, once a talented guard who averaged nearly 10 points a game and shared the floor with LeBron James in Cleveland. West's post-career life has unraveled in front of cameras in ways that are painful to watch. The June 2024 footage out of Fairfax County, Virginia showed a man completely lost, confused, and struggling to even understand why he was being arrested. An open container charge was the start, but what gripped viewers was his disoriented speech and erratic claims, at one point declaring himself both Jesus and the President of the United States. Just months later, in November 2024, he was arrested again for trespassing, adding another chapter to a troubling timeline. Unlike other players whose arrests come from bad decisions in heated moments, West's videos highlight a deeper issue: mental illness and substance abuse that the justice system seems unequipped to handle. Each clip is more than just an arrest. It's a window into the tragic decline of a man who once lived every young player's dream. His story forces fans to ask a difficult question: are we watching a criminal case unfold, or a cry for help that never truly gets answered? Montreal Harrell's arrest might be the most surreal of them all because it looks less like a felony traffic stop and more like a casual courtside interview. On May 12, 2022, Harrell was pulled over in Kentucky for tailgating, something that usually ends in a simple warning or ticket. But when officers searched the vehicle, they uncovered nearly 3 pounds of marijuana, a discovery that could have carried serious consequences, including a felony trafficking charge. What makes the footage unforgettable isn't just what they found, but how Harrell handled it. Instead of panic or anger, the former 6th Man of the Year kept his cool and slipped into basketball talk like it was media day. He chatted about his time with Charlotte, free agency plans, and even gave his thoughts on LaMelo Ball. At one point, the officers themselves leaned into the conversation, asking questions about teammates and NBA personalities as if they were podcast hosts. The bizarre mix of felony-level charges and friendly basketball banter gave the video an almost unreal vibe. In the end, the charges were reduced to a misdemeanor, but the footage stands as a wild example of composure under pressure and how an NBA conversation can change the tone of almost anything. Gilbert Arenas' name has always carried a mix of talent and controversy, but his latest arrest might be the most shocking chapter yet. On July 30th, 2025, federal agents showed up at his Encino mansion, charging the former 3-time All-Star with running an illegal gambling operation. According to investigators, Arenas had been hosting high-stakes poker games from his home between 2021 and 2022, with alleged ties to organized crime figures. This isn't just a minor slip-up, these are federal charges, including conspiracy and making false statements, each carrying the potential for years behind bars. What makes the case even more jarring is how it mirrors Arenas' past mistakes. Fans remember the infamous 2009 locker room gun incident that effectively ended his NBA career. You'd think that moment would have been a wake-up call, but here we are more than a decade later, watching history repeat itself in a more serious way. Even after his arrest, Arenas posted videos making light of the situation, echoing the same behavior that drew criticism years earlier. His bond was set at $50,000, and his trial is scheduled for September 23rd, 2025. For someone once called Agent Zero, his story now looks more like a countdown to disaster. Bryn Forbes' story is one of the darkest examples of how quickly troubling behavior can escalate. In February 2023, the former NBA champion was arrested for misdemeanor assault after allegedly striking a woman he was dating. The case was resolved through a diversion program meant to educate and rehabilitate first-time offenders, the kind of second chance designed to prevent repeat incidents. But exactly 1 year later, almost to the day, Forbes was back in custody, this time on a far more serious charge. In February 2024, he was accused of choking the mother of his children, a felony strangulation case that experts call one of the clearest predictors of future violence. Forbes was jailed on a $7,500 bond, and as of August 2025, his case remains tied up in the Texas courts. The fall is striking. Here's a player who fought his way into the NBA as an undrafted guard, earned a championship ring with the Milwaukee Bucks in 2021, and even dropped 35 points in a summer league game. Yet today, his name is less associated with his shooting touch and more with disturbing allegations that threaten to define his legacy. If you want more deep dives into the untold and shocking stories behind NBA players, make sure you're subscribed to Hoop Lockdown. You don't want to miss what's coming next.